Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my stream. I am your they, them of mayhem. I am Chris with a K and three S's. Today we are reading Reddit stories again. So get your drinks, get your snacks, and let's get ready to roll. Today I have sugar-free Snapple Peach tea. So I'm going to take a drink and let's get set. I've had a pretty busy day today, so I haven't been able to get as many Reddit stories and stuff lined up as usual. But I have a few, and hopefully I'll be able to have enough, and we'll kind of pick out some more as we go. It looked pretty interesting. I hope that I have the right scene on here. Yes, there we go. Okay. Do I want to do that one or that one? No, this one's better. Okay. Cool. So I pulled this one up because it had the NSFW tag. So, am I the asshole for yelling at an obese woman in a movie theater? Hi, everyone. Tonight I went to the movies to see The Back Rooms with my partner. We arrived just as the movie started, settled in, and began watching. About 30 to 45 minutes into the movie, a couple came and sat right next to us. Usually, I wouldn't care if someone comes in late to a movie, as I know I have before. However, this couple came in making a ridiculous amount of noise. I'm talking multiple wrappers of food getting tossed around and crinkled every few seconds. Nonstop chatter between the two of them for, I'm not even kidding, 15 minutes. The woman kept burping loudly in between them talking to each other. They were half whispering, but in a silent theater, it was incredibly noticeable and enraging. The woman also kept obnoxiously pointing at the screen and going, "Ooh, ooh, look at that," to her boyfriend of like completely non-eventful shots from the film, and then would loudly kiss him. After putting up with this for roughly 20 minutes, I finally snapped. I turned to them and loudly said, "Are you two going to keep talking, or can you shut the fuck up? It's extremely distracting." They just stared at me and then didn't talk for the rest of the movie, so I guess mission accomplished. I know I probably shouldn't have cursed, but at a certain point, it's just ridiculous how some people don't give a single fuck about the people around them. Same kind of people who cut you off in traffic while drooling on their phones. Anyways, that's it. Let me know if I was the asshole. Edit. I realize now how offensive it was to mention the couple's weight in the title, as it was not relevant to my complaint with them. Thank you to those in the comments who made me realize that I was clouded by my anger and personal bias. I will work on my mindset moving forward. Yeah, very true. Had nothing to do with the story. But yeah, these people were very rude and like, what the fuck? I would have been pretty pissed off. Um, yeah, people can be very insensitive and rude and uncaring about other people around them. Uh, Ahmad even had to say, "Can replies focus on the question in the post rather than on the title, please?" Looks like first actual response from Full Reception 552 says, "Not the asshole. Movie theater etiquette has been declining for a long time. I don't know why you felt it relevant to mention their body type, though, given that your issue with them was noise." Yeah, true. Not the asshole for having a go at them. You're the asshole for pointlessly bringing obesity into the story. Sounds like obesity wasn't a factor. Yeah, a lot of people are bringing that up. We're not the asshole for telling them to shut the fuck up, but a lot of people keep mentioning you're the asshole for mentioning the weight. That had nothing to do with anything. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It looks like that's the general consensus for like everyone. So many comments being like, "Yeah, why did you bring obesity into this? Like, what the fuck?" But looks like that's the end of the story. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Okay. Would I be the asshole? Sister will not respect my name choice. So I chose this one because it sounded kind of interesting and it's also something that's kind of relevant to me. Um, my husband and I have been happily married for 33 years. I did not change my last name when we married. He was absolutely fine with this. However, my older sister is clearly not. Everything to do with anything. Mhm. Mhm. It looks like that's the general consensus for, like, everyone. So many comments being like, "Yeah, why did you bring obesity into this? Like, what the fuck?" But looks like that's the end of the story, so, yeah, let's move on to the next one. 'Kay. Would I be the asshole? Sister will not respect my name choice. So I chose this one because it sounded kind of interesting and it's also something that's kind of relevant to me. Um, my husband and I have been happily married for 33 years. I did not change my last name when we married. He was absolutely fine with this. However, my older sister is clearly not. Every chance she gets, she refers to me by my husband's surname. Cards, forms, deliveries. I've corrected her repeatedly, but it never works. Would I be the asshole to start using her maiden name toward her? To let her know how it feels to be disrespected about one's name? My husband says to just ignore it. She's not going to change her behavior, and honestly, it only happens once or twice a year. It just bothers me. I a personal choice I've made. I don't think that I've also gotten married and not changed my name. I don't see a point in doing it. I don't see a reason to do that ever. First response from Night Noche. Yes, do it. Also gotten married and not changed my name. I don't see a point in doing it. I don't see a reason to do that ever for anyone, but once again, it's a personal choice, and OP chose not to do it. So, yeah. First response from Night Noche. Yes, do it. Another commenter, pretty petty. You would be treating her the same way she treats you, so I vote not the asshole. This hopefully will make her realize how disrespectful she's being. Window one says, yes, use her maiden name, but also change her first name to Steve or something. Another person says, send anything back saying not at this address. She's being really petty. You would be treating her the same way she treats you, so I vote not the asshole. This hopefully will make her realize how disrespectful she's being. Ooh. Looks like this one got upvoted the most. From OKFace4508, do it. I don't know how things are done in your culture, but in France, the term maiden name has not really been used for years. Little by little, we have been moving toward the term birth name. The idea behind this is that women, 50% of humanity, do not simply borrow their surname first from their father and then from their husband. Like every human being, they have a name of their own from birth. Stay strong. Fucking agree. Yeah. Ooh, someone else says she does this because it bothers you. That could be very true as well. Yep. A lot of really good responses. The one short story. Okay. This is one I thought could be pretty interesting, and it looks like it's a longer story. Would am I the asshole for quitting my job because of my client's religion? Hold on. I know that sounds bad, and I am really sad about it, but I can't do it. I don't mean to offend if your religion relates. So, I work in geriatrics as a caretaker. I picked up an 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekend shift that my job was offering. When I got to the home, I was informed that the client went to church every Sunday. When I got to the home, I was informed that the client went to church every Sunday and I'd have to go with her since I'm clocked in and I can't just sit at her house. She said it was a small church. Okay, even though I'm not much of a churchgoer, fine. So we get to the church, and it was abnormal for me. It was, in fact, small, maybe 25 people at the most. It also felt quite ritualistic. They had incense and candles burning. They were ringing slash banging on bells. They kept getting up and singing in a very cultish manner. Like whatever their version of a pastor is, would loudly proclaim sayings for 5 minutes. Then they'd all get up and start singing, just back and forth. He talks, they sing. He talks, and they sing. This was weird, but I went with it because every religion is different. However, there was an area behind the pastor guy where a man dressed in white robes, yes, white robes, think of the sun god Ra from Gods of Egypt, was like praying with the candles. He even had oil is different. However, there was an area behind the pastor guy where a man dressed in white robes, yes, white robes, think of the sun god Ra from Gods of Egypt, was like praying with the candles. He even had oil. Then two men dressed in black robes started carrying huge gold crosses around the church with the man dressed in the white robes. I had been sitting the man dressed in the white robes. I had been sitting the entire service because I don't know the songs. My client tells me to stand up for this part. Okay. Everyone followed them as they walked. Wherever they went, the entire church faced them. That was just eerie. I think what made it a bit weirder is that they weren't speaking English. For context, we live in a red state in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. So to walk into a church of people speaking Greek was not on my bingo card. My patient told me she doesn't even speak Greek. What really topped it off was as the man in the white robes walked by, my client grabbed his garment and kissed it. Then she told me to go to the car because you cannot do communion unless you've been blessed and baptized in this church. Also, the patient's 95-year-old father was the one who would drive us back and forth to church. I didn't even think about how insane this was until my parents audibly gasped when I told them and said, he could drop dead at any moment and you're letting him drive you around? I'm in school for nursing, and a friend of mine and said, he could drop dead at any moment and you're letting him drive you around? I'm in school for nursing, and a friend of mine said I was wrong because as a nurse, I'll have to work with all types of people, and if I couldn't handle that, I can't handle being a nurse. To me, this was crazy to say because as a nurse, I won't be required to go to church with them. To top it off, I grew up in church. I've been to dozens. I know all about the singing, worshiping God, and so forth, but I genuinely couldn't believe my eyes. I feel wrong for judging because my patient is so nice and everyone has a right to practice their religion. However, I'm just kind of creeped out. I cannot do that every Sunday for the foreseeable future. Am I the asshole? And then there's an edit. What do you guys think? If you think they would be the asshole, put a one in chat. I don't think they would be. Like, this sounds really weird. Um, and like, if this conflicts with their beliefs or it's just not something that they want to have to put up with for who knows how long, then yeah, that is their right. They don't have to put up with it just because. And I don't think anyone should be forced to like engage in religious stuff in their job if it's not like specifically a part of their job that they've agreed to do. Well, let's get to the edit. So, whoa, guys, calm down. For those of you saying I'm not fit to be a nurse, please tell me when I will have to go to church with my patient. When did I provide her with a lower level of care for her religion? For the people saying I should have sat in the car, try to think about how vulnerable it is to be with them in their car and going back to their home afterwards without any supervision or security. I'm sorry, but that after I tried to politely decline and they continuously asked me to go in, I jumped in the car. Try to think about how vulnerable it is to be with them in their car and going back to their home afterwards without any supervision or security. I'm sorry, but that after I tried to politely decline and they continuously asked me to go in, I just went in. For the people saying I'm closed minded, being uncomfortable and not wanting to partake in something doesn't mean so. We all have preferences. Do you participate in voodoo or witchcraft? Would you not find that weird? Fair. First commenter, Throwaway Dog 6 says, not the asshole, but can you sit outside and just poke your head in to check on your client every 10 minutes or so? OP replied, that's the thing. I tried that. She said she wanted me to be a part of the service. I wonder if OP's had like further conversations with her about that. Like, why do you want me to be part of the service? What does that mean? And what is your rationale for that? Besides just like, I have to be there. Um, well, what the hell? I don't know if that's gonna load, but okay. But mean that like you have to like it or enjoy going to it or even want to continue going to it. And that doesn't mean that like you have to like it or enjoy going to it or even want to continue going to it. Yeah. That fat guy MJL says, sounds like a typical Orthodox Greek church. Not the asshole for refusing to participate in something that makes you uncomfortable. You're the asshole for judging without knowledge. And then looks like a highly upvoted comment from Autistic Tumor Girl says, I was guessing that when I got the Greek part because up until then it just sounded very Catholic. And then a laughing crying emoji. OP, maybe you have been to church a lot, but you haven't been to a lot of churches of different denominations because this wouldn't have really seemed that odd to you if you had ever been to Mass at a Roman Catholic church. Edit. Also, you don't seem very intellectually curious, which isn't a great quality for a nurse. Rather than looking at the name of the church and going home and looking it up, finding out what denomination it is, finding out what services are typically like for that denomination, what differences there are between that denomination and whatever one you grew up with, or just asking your patient what kind of church it was, your immediate instinct was, this is something I'm going to meet people of every description. Some of them will actually be creepy and off-putting. Some will be from cultures wildly different from yours. Some will have moral, social, and/or political beliefs that are the complete opposite of yours and will want to tell you all about it. Some will do things you might think are odd or creepy at a dying loved one's bedside, and guess what? You still have to deal with them and treat them, and do it whilst maintaining their dignity and humanity. You can't just not work with that person because you think they're weird or they make you uncomfortable. Finding out what services are typically like for that denomination, what differences there are between that denomination and whatever one you grew up with, or just asking your patient what kind of church it was. Your immediate instinct was, this is something I'm unfamiliar with, thus it is creepy and I don't want to do it. I hate to tell you this, but as a nurse, especially if you ever work ER, you're going to meet people of every description. Some of them will actually be creepy and off-putting. Some will be from cultures wildly different from yours. Some will have moral, social, and/or political beliefs that are the complete opposite of yours and will want to tell you all about it. Some will do things you might think are odd or creepy at a dying loved one's bedside, and guess what? You still have to. But yeah, talking in tongues that maybe you don't know or recognize. Yeah, that might be weird if it's your first time experiencing that. But yeah, especially like if you work in healthcare, there's going to be a lot of people being weird or creepy, and you're not going to be able to decide whether or not you work with them. So maybe that is something that OP should, have more of an open mind about. But let's see if there's any other good comments or ones that OP's responded to. They responded about why aren't they driving? Because it's the patient's car. Okay, but is OP not responsible for driving? Let's see. Religion is not the issue. That's fine. I've worked with people with different races. Okay, if it's not the religion that's the issue, then what's the issue? Oh, here's another upvoted comment. Loose Zebra 435. Looks like your job is to help your client do the things they want to do. They want to go to church. They need support in doing so. You went to a Greek Orthodox church. It's no more a cult than any other Christian church you've attended in the past. Why would them speaking Greek be an issue? Learn Greek if you want to understand the service. Your friend is right. You won't have to go to church with patients, but you will have to be accepting of their religious views and practices that will be apparent when you treat them. Your lack of tolerance is the issue. If you have a job that's meant to help people with their daily life, you have to help them. If you can't do that, I guess it's good you're quitting. Oh, if you responded, I accept her religion at full scale. I don't accept having to go with her to practice her religion. I mean, that makes sense. If you're not going to be like a home hospice nurse or something, there's probably no point where you're going to be with a client having to help them get to or practice their religion. Another pretty well upvoted comment from Dustier and Rustier. Isn't this just the Greek Orthodox Church? It's not a cult just because they pray in a different language and wear robes. You seem very influenced by pop culture and horror movies if that scares you. I'm Jewish and a lot of this sounds like stuff we do. Singing in Hebrew, standing for certain prayers, and turning to face the Torah as it's carried around the room. Nothing sinister about it at all. Just our tradition. You sound extremely judgmental and dramatic. Okay. Another upvoted comment. The Pytheo of Apollo. I was raised Greek Orthodox, went to a Catholic school, and have a Catholic godson, so what OP is describing could fit in either column. I don't practice any faith, so don't have a dog in this fight. But girl, the contempt is dripping off your post. You can be a non-believer and even express not adhering to any particular religious doctrine without sounding. Uh-oh. Upvoted comment. The Pytheo of Apollo. I was raised Greek Orthodox, went to a Catholic school, and have a Catholic godson, so what OP is describing could fit in either column. I don't practice any faith, so don't have a dog in this fight. But girl, the contempt is dripping off your post. You can be a non-believer and even express not adhering to any particular religious doctrine without sounding. Uh-oh.